All right, welcome back to a brand new video of the Targeted Individual Program, Targeted Express. You know what I just noticed? All right, whenever on this phone camera, um, I have to, when I hit the image stabilizer for the video, right, it's usually like a blue, it's an icon of a blue hand, all right? So when I hit it to put on the image stabilizer, it says stabilization. Okay, and I noticed that when I hit it says stabilization, it stays that color. It stays like a light blue color. But I remember hitting up the stabilization button before, or icon, and it stayed. It didn't change color. It stayed white. Right. So that's why some of my videos you'll see, you know, like I'm looking at the screen right now, and the image seemed, very stable. Slight movement. All right. I mean, I think the stabilization software on my Samsung S21 was a lot better. Right. And so, but still, I talk about how the manipulation of the software. And I almost forgot I got to do another video on this. So when I was leaving the pharmacy and I launched the camera app, right, the screen was blank. There was nothing on the screen, right? No picture, nothing. It was just a black screen. And I took a screenshot, right? So why did they do that? Because as I was exiting out the pharmacy, there was a female nicotine perp who they were using. All right. Again, when they don't want me to get on videos, some of the perps that they use for whatever reason, they will do stuff like that, right? They either shut the camera down or prevent the recording by manipulating the recording icon. So when I hit the recording icon, it doesn't record, and I have to hit it multiple times or exit out the camera mode and then start the recording, hit the record icon button again, and then it would record. So they do these things. Oh look, matching colors, right? So I talk about how to match the car that was going into the driveway, and this dude right here, all right, his shirt, same color shirt. So when I talk about these things, all right, and then you see the same color vehicle here, right? So I talk about the patterns of three. See what I'm talking? Look what I'm talking about. All right, watch it. Look, and then the car across the street, champagne color. We're gonna be popping that champagne. All right. Again, it's like a celebratory thing, like with the fireworks. Right, and that they just do. So again, recognizing these patterns, it's not a coincidence, right? Particularly when it happens in patterns of threes. Now you see this dude with the red shirt, red vehicle. All right, I want you guys to see it. All right, if you're looking down at his shoes, you got a hoodie down, looking down at your shoes, looking down at my shoes too. Or actually, from here, 1, 2, 3. Still pattern, right? Still pattern. Right? All right. So yeah, still it's a pattern of three. Still a pattern because he is close to those vehicles right here. All right. Now you're gonna see multiple patterns of threes and how they do it. So there's a guy across the street, right there, wearing all red. All right, so that's 1, 2, 3 again. Patterns of threes. All right, so don't think that these things are there for a reason, and then they use the red card to try to break up the pattern. But it's still a pattern of threes. All right, remember I talk about how they mask their targeting to try to prevent, me from exposing the patterns. All right, so what they'll do is that there'll be a pattern there, and then all of a sudden they'll stage it to where you'll have a vehicle or somebody else who just so happens to appear with the pattern of threes, right? And again, you'll see as I'm coming to the intersection, she's wearing a red shirt, he's wearing the red shoes, and the red vehicle. See that? It's a pattern, right? It's a pattern of threes, right? Now they may, like I said, they'll try to mask it, but you know, like I said, studying what it is that they do over a decade and a half. I could take the bus, but I'm gonna walk. I'll get there in time. You know, as remember too, if I take the bus all the time back and forth, that's like 4 trips a day, right? So can't do that, can't afford that. All right. So anyhow, but yeah. So now what you'll see now is stick your finger in there, is the red, the color red being used now specifically. All right. See, red. She's wearing the red bonnet on. Look, it's coming on, sticking her hands in her ears. You know. Oh, let me fix my earbuds. Look, patterns of threes. Red bonnet, 2 red vehicles. All right. Okay. Patterns of threes. All right. Now these are, like I said, this is not a coincidence. This is a psychological operation, right? This is cognitive warfare. This is what they do. Okay. And as I said, this is what they do. And oh yeah, look. So as she gets close to me, she puts her glasses on. Why? When I was waiting for my prescription, there was a dude sitting down in the pharmacy. Right now, I was standing up because all the seats were taken. As soon as I got a chance to sit down, I had to sit down, you know, next to him. Right? What does he do? He takes his glasses out, puts it on, and then takes it back off and put it back in his bag again. Right? That's what he does. So yeah. Right? That's what they do. Remember, these things are based on trying to draw association, connection, right? It's DarkNLP, right? Dark psychology, particularly dark neuro-linguistic programming, right? And they can draw an attachment to anything. Right? As long as you start to recognize the patterns, then you can reverse the programming. So for example, when they use red, it's because they want you to get mad. Right? So it's like there's a saying, you know, look, you turn in red. Right? Because why? Because colors are used to manipulate our emotions from subtle ways to very extreme ways. Go look it up, like I said. You don't gotta take my word for it. Go do the research yourself. How colors can be weaponized to manipulate our emotions in extreme ways, right? As a matter of fact, if you understand color theory, right, this is why advertising companies use colors when you go into like department stores, right? They have certain colors because they understand. In certain seasons, they will use certain colors. Why? Because colors is associated with certain seasons, like in the fall, in the winter, green, in the fall, you know, brown, orange, yellow, right? You know, kind of that earthy green, like, and then the leaves begin to change. Okay, wintertime, you know, snow, which is white, all right? In the spring, see a lot of colors, the yellow, orange, purples, blues, you know, all the hues in the spring, because that's when, you know, the plants begin to, and flowers begin to grow, begin to bloom, right? And in summertime, they are in full bloom, so, you know, and such. So, you know, colors is very important, and they know this, they understand this. This is why, like I said, there is the field of studies called color theory, and manipulating people's emotions using colors, right? I mean, You know, you ever see, like, if you go outside and you see most people are wearing the color green, and not just any kind of green, but a more earth tone green or money green, right? The thought or idea of getting money or having some kind of money or playing the lotto comes into mind, right? You know what I'm saying? Because we attach colors with certain things. Okay? That's what, because why? Because society has conditioned us to do that. So like I said, our conditioning within the society is built in. The negative conditioning is built in, right? We just don't see it until they do things to, and let me take my uncle, because they do things to elicit that programming as we get older, right? So as we get older, we start to find ourselves buying more things based on our urge, right? So here's the thing, in terms of how they use and how they adapt what they know about psychology through the creation of different and multiple personalities within people. New York Quality Department up there, right? For example, right, they'll say, okay, there's certain traits that certain personality types have, right? So for example, you know, they'll say, well, if you only act, if you go on an impulse, then you are a more likely a sociopath, right? Because you're impulsive, right? But that's not true, right? Because if you look at society, and if that's true, then look, you look at society, every time something new come out, like a new Jordans, a new iPhone, you know, we all have this impulsive urge that is at times uncontrollable, that we will line up in line for 2 days just to get a pair of Jordans, or just to get the new iPhone, or I guess just to get the new gaming console, right? So that is an impulsive, over impulsive conditioning that is done to us, right? And it applies to many different things too. Many different things, right? So for example, kleptomaniac, people who have the illness, what is called kleptomaniac. They can't help but steal things, right? It is based off of a subconscious programming, right? Because they do it without thinking. It is an automatic response that is built into their psyche, right? And they don't understand it. It is until they can become aware, right? If ever, just as narcissists, if you have the scale of 1 to 7, right? Most people in today's society is a 3, not a 1 or a 2, but a 3. That's almost half the middle point, right? Those who are 4s and 5s are the ones who do things out of, you know, control, anger, vindictiveness, and they do it in which they will hurt other people, right? But they do at times think about the consequences. Then you have the 6 and the 7s, and these are the most extreme versions of narcissistic personality disorder. Okay, and so when that happens, right? When that happens, those people, there's no way to even make them aware of that illness, right? There's no way that they can become conscious of it, right? Because it's just who they are, right? And it's something that's naturally who they are. So there are some people who are of the most extreme, and there's nothing you can do. Well, not there's nothing you can do to help them, but they themselves cannot. You cannot bring them to the understanding of their narcissistic personality traits, right? And they'll tell you. They'll say, okay, yeah, I'm, clinically diagnosed as highly narcissistic, but they don't change their behavior. right? Because there's no need for them to change. They don't know how to change, right? So even with medication, all they're doing is just, you know, putting them on depressants, right? So they are depressed all the time when they're on that medication. Okay. Same thing like you have children or people who are born without any sort of. All right, let's look at, for example, autistic children. Right. So for children who are autistic, they cannot regulate their emotions because something within their brain, that their brain psychology is wired different. So they don't have any emotional intelligence or emotional awareness, right? So when something happens to you and you're sad, they can't connect with you. You can't connect with them. They're not going to come and ask you what's wrong and give you a hug because they also feeling sad because you're feeling sad. No, they don't. Right? They're non-emotional responsive. Right? Now you can say to them, okay, if I'm looking this way, that means that I'm sad, right? And so what they do is that they use symbols or signs, right? Sad face, and then you teach them the appropriate response. They may not feel what you feel, but they'll know that when you have that sad face, they come and give you a hug. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just talking about, we have a lot to learn about psychology and how psychology is used and how people's psychology is and what it is that we need to understand, right, from the different personality traits. And a lot of it is because society has conditioned us into a personality that they want us to have, right? All right, talk to you guys in the next video.